Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for another little miniature review. Today I'm going to go for this Ironheart bust from Big Child Creative, and I must gotta say I'm just pretty much blown away by the quality. But let me just put the camera down, get this open, and we can go have a look inside. Now I have had a bit of an open, but I haven't cleaned anything up for assembly. So first off we get this nice little card with what is clearly a computer coloured render of the image. Clearly they've done 3D sculpting to get this done rather than more traditional hand sculpting, but it is a nice little backdrop to put the pieces, individual pieces on. Let's see, we have a sword here. It's very nicely detailed and it's got a cross shaped section to go into the hands, little nub there. This had actually snapped off the sprue in transit. As I said, haven't trimmed anything or prepared anything. So let's look at the rest of that sprue first of all. These are coming out in no particular order. So this here is obviously where the sword was attached, something like that. And we got the two hands on the sword hilt. Very detailed metal gauntlets. I like the articulation of the fingers. The pommel actually attaches to the hair, and it's nice that the card indicates roughly where it's supposed to go. I'll pull out a few of the studio photographs when I'm actually preparing my model for painting. And actually, I don't generally go for busts normally, but this one's just so nice I had to. I've got to say, production quality really good. Very few mould lines. Here we've got the body. We have a beautifully detailed breastplate, and more importantly it's a realistic female breastplate, which is basically the exact same shape as a men's breastplate. Maybe a slightly more raised central ridge to help squeeze everything in. So we've got the cloak, we've got this roughly triangular neck section with nice, I must say the head and neck fits in really well. We've got arms going here and here, we've got this beautiful cloak, and we've got on the bottom here we've got this hole which looks like it's not going to match up with the vertical post that's been supplied, because part of it's covered by the edge of the cloak here, but actually you place the stem, a little nub, in the front, and then as you push it in, it's guided backwards so the angle changes, and it's actually a really perfect fit. Now, here on the back of the cloak, this here, I'm not sure if this is a casting defect or if it's supposed to be slightly ripped and a bit of battle damage, and that's hanging down. So I'm going to actually look at the studio photographs of that one. The cloak is beautifully textured. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick up on this at all, but it actually does look like woven cloth. There we go, hopefully that's coming into focus a bit better now. And again, it's just gorgeous. I am going to have a lot of fun. I mean, there on the underside of the cloak here we have our first sign of something I might actually have to treat a bit like a mold line, but overall really good just components. Now I get this sprue here, we have the arms, elbow is going to attach to this elbow here, and then this arm will attach on the side there, and then the two hands on the sword hilt will go up there, and then we have our post, which looks like it's not going to bear a lot of weight and would probably be better off on another kind of stand. Alright, but essentially this goes in the front, and then as it goes in it goes back and changes the angle. Very hard to show with one hand holding the camera, but it's a really good fit. And I like the fact there's cloth on the inside of the arms here, inside the plates, and bindings to hold them all in place. Again, really good fits. I'm looking forward to putting all this together. And then finally we have the head itself. Now, inside the hair, these match the back of the cloak very well. That's a round post, but all of these little indentations do match rather well with the neck piece here on the armour. Now, there's a tiny little bit in there. I think I'll have to trim at the base, at the back of the neck. There's also this obvious piece here that's going to need to be trimmed. She has beautiful hair. I think the sword hilt goes in here. Earlobe is a little bit odd initially, but it depends which angle you look at it. And there are gaps between strands of hair. I mean, if you look through there, you can maybe see my finger through the gap if I just hold it like that. There we go. I mean, this is begging for, you know, to be a central focal highlight of the miniature itself. There's a few little bits down here that are going to need to be trimmed, but basically I'm going to have to do very minimal cleanup on this before I can put her together and start painting her. Now, regarding painting, I need to basically say I think this one might be one of those figures where painting the pieces separately would be advantageous. It could all be stuck together, but then again, you know, it's armour, right? And I can go with fantastical wild colour schemes for the armour, but basically there's nice gaps. You know, each of the joints, we got a wrist joint and an armpit joint, two wrist joints, elbow joint. Basically each of the armour joints is an armour joint, so it should be very easy to paint, right, in pieces. I mean, if I stick the head on the body, then the pommel might not quite go into the hair when I guide the hands onto the wrists. And likewise, if I leave the head off, then place and put the arms and the sword on, then the head might have a bit of tricky going on. So I'm going to have to dry fit that a few times and work it out how best I want to handle that. But yeah, this is just gorgeous. And I've got to say, I'm really looking forward to painting this one. And as I said, I don't normally go for busts, right? I got, the Troll Slayer bust from Forge World when it was one of the, 7 or 8 things in their initial starting catalogue. I've got maybe 3 or 4 busts, you know, not a massive amount in my collection. But there we are. Wonderful, beautiful little figure from a Spanish company called Big Child Creative. They've started doing some gaming scale miniatures, and I wouldn't mind seeing a full body version of this one at that scale, to be honest. That'd be great. Okay, well, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you guys have all enjoyed this, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. I'll say bye for now, and cheerio.